So this is the full in-depth review of the new Wilson C300 Driver with power holes included, adjustable weights and adjustable sleeve for lofts. I'm Rick Shiels down here at Quest Golf Academy. I take this driver through its paces, out on the golf course, on 3 different occasions on GCQuad hitting Pro V1s to test it to its max. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. If you are new to my channel, make sure you are a subscriber. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any videos, and let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video and leave me a comment of what you think of this driver. So the Wilson Staff C300 Driver. As soon as I whip the head cover off, one of the most noticeable bits of technology are these slots at the top and at the bottom. These have been cut out to help with more flexing of the face. This is what Wilson are saying. And those slots have been filled with urethane, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. They are not connected from top to bottom. They are separate independent urethane slots, which Wilson are claiming is going to make the face faster. We shall see if that is the case on testing. There are 3 adjustable weights at the bottom, 2 6-gram weights and 1 2-gram weight. You can move them around. In fact, when you take the weights out, you can actually see inside the head. I've just got the 2 6-gram weights at the front and the 2-gram weight at the back, but obviously you can move them into draw and fade biased. One thing that's noticeable for me is that they're not massively spread out toward the toe and the heel hugely. They're quite close together, which may not give the most amount of adjustability. The neck sleeve is also adjustable, as you'd imagine. It goes up 2 degrees and it also goes down 1 degree, and you can put that in more of an upright setting as well. So I've got this in the Aldila Rogue extra stiff shaft, which is a shaft that I normally use in the driver. And the other big thing to talk about is this kind of matte red crimson finish on the driver. I think it looks actually quite smart. It's not maybe my perfect taste, but it's not overly offensive. And I do like it in the matte because it stops that glare. It's not a bad looking driver in fairness. Kind of very traditional in some respects, but obviously packed full of these new pieces of technology. So let's talk about the performance of this driver. I tested it on 3 different days on GCQuad with Pro V1s, and this is my optimal performance chart for drivers that I test. I'm going to now throw in the Wilson C300 numbers. And what we see across the board there is actually very good, promising numbers. The first couple of things to highlight is the carry distance and total distance, giving me 284 yards of carry distance, that's an average of all the shots that I hit, and 306 yards of total distance, which is above what I normally see. How we got to that wasn't massively because of extra ball speed. Ball speed was a little bit low, but I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. While I was getting that extra distance, for me, the launch and the spin was absolutely on the numbers. The holy grail for me to get distance is 17 degrees of launch off the head with 1700 RPM spin. And this driver did just that. And there was a definite hot spot high on the head. I hit these shots that just seemed to launch and seemed to go forever with no spin. The ball speed was low though compared to my optimum performance chart. So were power holes doing what they needed to do, or was something else affecting that? And when we look at the club head data, for some reason, over those 3 days, I was averaging only 110 miles per hour club head speed with this driver. 2 miles per hour less than what I would normally average. And this was over 3 different days. So the ball speed probably marries up to the club head speed quite nicely indeed. All of my other club head data there is visible to see. So numbers so far, I was pretty impressed with. I was happy with the numbers. I hit some good shots. I found the consistency level to be pretty good. I found that those high shots on the top of the head seemed to come out like a rocket, and the lower strikes still seemed to be pretty consistent. I wasn't getting huge spin numbers when I struck below that equator line. So out on the golf course, I went up to Nelson Golf Club, and it was a beautiful day. I was hitting some drivers with this club, and the one thing that stood out to me straight away when I was outside, one, the colour came to life more on top of the head. It wasn't as offensive inside for me. I took it outside and the sun started to hit the matte crimson top. For me, it wasn't visually as nice as I would like to see a driver. For me, I would like to see this in either a darker red or completely black. I get why it's in this crimson red because it makes the urethane power holes kind of stand out a little bit more, but for me, maybe wasn't the colouring that I'd like to see out on the golf course. Performance, I seem to hit some really good drives, But the one thing that kind of put me off with this driver was the difference in noise I was getting out on the course. It was the same day as I was testing a few different drivers. And for me, this Wilson C300 driver did not sound anywhere near the kind of pitch or sound or, you know, that kind of crunchy noise that I would like to hear from a driver. It was way more high pitched and gave me a sound that was way too metallic and maybe not the dead noise that I was expecting from the distances and number that I was hitting. Performance-wise on the course, I had no issues with it at all. It performed great as it did inside. So it comes back to the idea, do power holes make much of a difference? Well, for me, I was in between kind of grounds really, because for the club head speed I was swinging at through the testing, it gave me appropriate ball speed. Did it give me any more ball speed than expected? No, kind of hit the mark. Exactly how I would expect the ball speed to come out. With that club head speed, it was almost exactly where it needed to be. Did I like the kind of feel and the performance of the driver? Performance, yes. Feel, yes. Sound, not so much. That kind of put me off this driver. And certainly the colouring as well put me off the driver. So the question comes down to it, in conclusion, would this driver go in my bag? Well, before taking it out on the golf course, I'd have probably said yes, because it was doing everything I needed it to do. Once I took it a bit more out on the golf course and tested it a bit more, there was too many things that kind of put me off the driver. The colour, the sound, but the performance, if you can just look past the colour and the sound, a lot of people watching will like that colour. I think it'll work great. And you might think I'm being really picky on that, but sound is so important for me as a driver. You know, someone who tests a lot of drivers, someone who enjoys hitting driver, sound for me is so important. And this just didn't quite have that crunchy noise that I would have liked it to have had. As a driver, and at the price point of £350, so $400, it stacks up on performance against the big driver brands, the $500 driver brands that are out there. This does stack up to the performance of those drivers and the look and the finish that you would expect from a premium brand. I just think they've needed to be bold in the colouring and the power holes, which has then unfortunately let that whole package slip a little bit. As a driver, I think it performed well, and it's one that I would highly recommend for you to go and test, because Wilson drivers often get overlooked. Guys, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. Leave me a comment down below. Have you ever had the opportunity to test a Wilson driver? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, lots more to come, and we'll see you next time. That was my review, full review of the Wilson C300 driver.